President Trump announced today that Chief of Staff John Kelly will be leaving his job at the end of the year. And you'll be surprised to know that a bunch of your favorite liberal characters decided to go on Twitter and Facebook and all the other social media websites and declare their happiness and shout to the heavens about how great this was, as though that supposedly means whoever replaces him will be any better or have any influence on Trump's behavior that will make it seem suitable or have some actual impact on his policies. But, I guess I should expect this from what I think are a lot of people in the Mick resistance who don't really seem to be opposed based on issues, which is why they rally around someone like Jeff Flake, who votes with Trump over 80% of the time in the Senate, but will go after him for his mean words. I'm much more interested in seeing what happens with Kelly after this, because oftentimes when you have these members of an administration leave, they try to find some job that typically allows them to benefit from what they did in office. Now, good luck naming an accomplishment of his because I can't name any, but I could picture him going on Fox News and trying to defend every and anything that Trump does uh, in the hopes that he stays buddy buddy with his head honcho, and also maybe writing a book. That seems to be the common occurrence with people who leave from over there. A little tell all. Oh, this is what happened. This went down. What I think is very strange is that people oftentimes look at these expulsions. I'm going to get more into my Trump defending territory. It is common courtesy for a president, whether they're in office for 4 years, 8 years, or something in between, to have secretaries come and go, cabinet members in general. Obama, for example, only had one person. His name was Tom Vilsack. He was the agriculture secretary, stay from beginning to end during his tenure. So the idea that people leaving, whether regardless of who it is some showing of the person at the top, becoming vulnerable is ludicrous. But there's been this thing, and a lot of times you have his defenders who will call it Trump derangement syndrome, and they'll say that people who don't like him will look to anything and everything as a way of smiting him. And it's granted a lot more credibility in these instances. This guy going is not going to change anything. Um, there's two predictions for his replacement. One is a person who is the exact same in their influence. So they literally don't turn Trump to any position that would be popular with people that are not his base. Or we just have a person who acts as an acting chief of staff, if they even exist, and the job goes vacant for the remainder of the time he's in office. I don't think the second one will happen, but the first one is very likely. And when you know that and you're aware that this is kind of the way all of these cabinet positions work, or administrative positions, it becomes a lot less thrilling to hear the news of one person being yanked or removing or retiring or being shown the pink slip or whatever. But people still celebrate this. They still go, woohoo! What did you accomplish? It'd be the same thing with the National Security Advisor. We were talking about Bolton, for example. If he got removed, it wouldn't be due to him trying to start war with Iran and another one with North Korea, as he's already tried to do. It would be the result of him and Trump getting into some kind of little stupid feud that has nothing to do with public policy. And all of the people who don't like Bolton, and more particularly don't like Trump, would go, yeah, you just lost your national security advisor. And they would completely forget the fact that, hey, while you're cheering that one person left, we're stuck with the same policy that you say you hate. That's why you don't like this guy, right? And when you're able to understand that these people are not getting fired over their ideology, but rather over if the president likes them or not, or if they're tired or whatever, that's when you know the people who call themselves the resistance aren't really here to resist what they should be resisting. They're opposed to a man that they don't know, for the sake of being opposed to something. And I like to believe that most people who have opposition to Trump are not so caught up in the hysteria of having people around you go, yeah, good job, yeah, that when they see something that is not worth celebrating, they leave it alone. I mean, Jesus Christ, I just think what's next? You know, every time one of his officials announces they're leaving or they're getting fired or he, you know, gets rid of them, asks them to step down, you just cheer. The only one I've seen them actually stand in a principled manner with was Sessions. And the only reason they stood with him was so that this Mueller thing could go on. I never hear them talk about wanting to get rid of his labor secretary because of stagnant wages or him not doing anything in relation to improving the fact upon the fact that 76% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. I never see them want to go after his Treasury Secretary for bribing my Senator Harris into letting him get away with all of his malpractices in my state. They never do it. It's just that person's going and nothing of policy. But that's the state of everything political now. The media has chosen to complain about tweets and make notice of someone's smiling or looking at someone during a funeral. Who cares? But again, these are the things that are peddled now because we live in an era where substance is being pushed back against by style. That's why we cheer on these members of the public that the second they say something negative about Trump, we give them a little clap and go ooh, as opposed to them championing some issues and saying, hey, we don't need this person in office when they're criticizing one president for being in 7 wars, or at least for their foreign policy, and then doing the exact same thing. But we're not getting that. We're getting more of these people who are celebratory over someone getting thrown out of office, and not over certain policies or positions or manners of thinking being yanked away. And whenever you have a system like that where it becomes more about the person versus what that person is doing, you're always going to have a problem. Because it allows the people who are in the positions of power to say, oh, they just don't like this person, let's get rid of them, and then we can go back to doing what we're doing in the dark. And you authorize that because you focus on the wrong thing. But, people will continue celebrating as his officials are removed and resign, and into the toilet we go.